there, I saw people like me running things. This is a courtroom, not a circus, so we're gonna calm down.
I'm sorry.
What I found there was a passion that I didn't know existed.
This is the bottom line.
I'm excited to free fall into the limitless possibilities with we the people. So many are fearful of the law. They think it's something that works against them.
I think you need to begin to accept responsibility for your mistakes.
We are the people.
Andrea and Keith Childs claim the money they loaned wasn't used as intended, so they want it back now. Elisa and Timothy Childs claim the money was a gift to spend as they please.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake now presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Childs versus Childs. So, father and son, you're suing your son for $10,000 today, which you say you gave as a loan to buy a house so that he could have more space. And you say he did not handle that money appropriately. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I gave my son Timothy the $10,000 when he and his wife announced they would be moving east to start their new careers there. The agreement was he was going to be able to use the money for a down payment to get a bigger house, which would have enough space so that Andrea, beautiful wife, and I would be able to visit our grandchildren that we expected to be arriving
Were
in the
they
future.
expected to pay it back?
The grandchildren would be the dividends on this loan.
It was a promise, Your Honor. It was a promise if they had grandchildren.
All right, so all I need you to do, you don't have to pay me back the money. I just want to see some grandkids.
I want to see some grandchildren, and I want some space in that house where we can come and have some nice long visits.
I want to hear from you, Mr. Childs. It's sad to see father and son here in court, but things happen, right? Mr. Childs, did you believe your father's money was a gift to you and your family, or do you think it was a loan?
Well, Your Honor, my father is a narcissist. He's been in and out of my life in and out for a few years until I was about 30. And it was actually at the request of my wife that I try to repair that relationship with him. But no, Your Honor, the money was a gift, nothing more. Knowing how my father is, I even actually sat down and spoke with him about this and said, does this need to be repaid to you? And he responded, no, grandkids would be more than enough.
All right. So take me back to that day when the money was offered, when the entire conversation came up.
Well, me and my wife were planning for our wedding. And to my father's credit, he did help with a portion of it. He did help with the groomsmen gifts, and he did help with some of the reception dinners.
My parents paid for almost everything. And, you know, his gift was generous, but we both felt that it was just something, since he hadn't been in Tim's life until he was 30, we both felt it was just something he was doing to try to control the situation and also to try and prove himself. Now he's a good father. He's giving all this money, you know. Now he can live, he's just the same as my family.
So was this money during the wedding to help you all with the wedding, or was this a wedding gift that was given to you at your wedding, or was this money that you received from him after the wedding was over?
It was before the wedding, Your Honor.
Ah. And did he pay any additional costs associated with the wedding besides this $10,000? Did he pay for anything?
Outside the groomsmen gifts and the reception dinner, no.
Everything has changed now, but back in the olden days when I was younger, the groom's family paid for the liquor, the transportation, reception. Is that it? Or you just saying he didn't pay for that?
That was her family that paid for that.
My family paid for everything.
Okay, and look, things have changed now. I'm just saying back in the day, there were certain responsibilities of the groom's family. So we didn't do it the traditional way, but before the wedding, you got this $10,000.
Yes.
And so you agree, Mr. Child's dad, that this was given to your son and his soon-to-be and now wife before their wedding.
With the expectation that they would put the down payment on a nice, sizable property, and there would be the grandchildren, the great, beautiful sound of little feet that Andrea and I would go and...
The little feeties?
We would go and we would have some wonderful visits in the years to come. They did not live up to that. There's no expectation of it happening now. There's no plan to... They're just focusing on their career.
So do we have that in writing somewhere? Did anybody send a text? Did anybody do a promissory note? Did anybody say this money is conditioned on this in writing?
It was an honorable bargain between a father and a son.
Coming up.
But have you had any kids yet?
We have been trying, and you know, they never even took the time to ask us how we felt. It was just harping on having kids.
We thought
I
the
had a
holidays, we'd have the sound of the
I
announcement.
had a miscarriage.
You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
All right, I want to understand, Ms. Childs, what you understand to be the situation.
He made a promise to bargain. It was almost like a bargain in a way, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I might add that on the check it even says for your future.
It doesn't specify anything.
Instead, we visit them.
Who has the check? Let me see that, Sean. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Here it is. The check, and in the memo, it says, for my son's future.
Which would involve beautiful grandchildren and a nice, big, wonderful home.
It also could just involve moving expenses, portions of the wedding that they can't afford to pay for, honeymoon. For my son's future is quite vague.
And we invested in our future. We were in North Carolina.
A little apartment.
A one-bedroom apartment.
It was it's a beautiful, spacious condo for the city. We needed it to be closer to my job. I got a promotion, and that's why we moved to Connecticut in the future. We were thinking of them the whole time. You know, it's a large apartment. It's a one-bedroom, but it does have a little, you know, sort of nook. There's an area that's separate that we could use for guests.
An uncomfortable roll-out couch.
Oh, so
Not even a real bedroom, just like a little office space area.
So, Dad, you're big mad about this. What do you feel like? They cut you out of their life? You wanted that $10,000 to help them to have a house that was large enough where you could come and visit? Because you're real mad about this.
And spend time with those grandchildren that I wanted to see.
But have you had any kids yet?
No, Your Honor.
There's no plans for having those kids.
They don't know that. We have been trying. And, you know, they never even took the time to ask us how we felt. Or it was just harping on having kids.
We thought
I
the
had a
holidays, we'd have the sound of the
I
announcement.
had a miscarriage. You didn't care at that visit. You didn't care at the holidays. You didn't even ask why.
You didn't tell us. We thought you just put on a lot of weight.
You didn't notice our
I
attitudes.
thought you just gained some weight and you were just
Which
waiting.
is none of your business either way. None of their business. I had a miscarriage, and all they did was demand, when would I have kids?
So right now, while this court is in session, this is the first time you've ever shared the news.
Yes, Your Honor, this is the first time we discussed this.
In-laws, that you in fact had a miscarriage. Thank you, Sean.
Why would we feel like we could share something like that when they're so selfish? Everything we try to do, they only want it their way.
Selfish? On Christmas Day, 5 hours? 5 hours to spend with us on Christmas Day? That's an insult.
You'd rather spend it with your own family.
Don't you think it makes sense? I can trust them. We needed to be together in a place that we could relax and try to be restored.
The little apartment where you come out and you cooked a beautiful meal for you, and all you had to do was clean up after it,
And I made
it
some
wasn't good enough.
veggies, and it wasn't good enough. It wasn't vegan.
Okay,
know,
hold
we're
on,
not vegans.
hold on, Mr. Childs. Hold on now. Now, your daughter-in-law just said she suffered a miscarriage. Your son, they went through something very traumatic. You didn't even take a beat. You still yelling about a meal and somebody didn't make any dishes. How insensitive can you be?
This is just typical of him. Typical. He wasn't even there for any of Tim's childhood. And he let his relationship with Tim's mother get in the way of him seeing Tim. So the visits petered off, and then there was nothing.
Well, his mother didn't want me around because she was blaming me for his psychological problems, so I didn't come around.
He should put that aside. This is his son.
Hold on. Now I see what's really going on. You did not have the type of father-son relationship that you know you should have had with your son, that maybe even you wanted with your son and he wanted with you. Is that correct?
Yes, and I made mistakes. I wasn't very good, but I don't want him making the same mistake. I want, get started with these grandchildren. I want to see them. I learn from what
So what's really going on is your intense desire to have these grandkids is somehow in your mind righting a wrong that you really have not processed and been able to deal with. This is obvious because I don't know how you are so upset over dishes and the size of the apartment. I realize you may have wanted to make sure they had a room for you. However, with the money you gave them and their salaries, maybe they're only able to afford the house they live in now. And maybe they plan.
You should have thought about that before you moved back east. Expensive housing there.
I moved for our future. We moved, Your Honor.
We moved
Didn't
because
they
we got
just say they
promotions.
had jobs?
We both got promoted.
I got my dream job in advertising as a head of a major nationwide company.
She could easily afford to have kids.
Again, did you not hear me say?
Miss Childs, are you here with us today?
Yes. I don't agree
Did you
with
hear
this.
the testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
They've been trying.
Coming up.
Why would they move into a one-bedroom apartment, Your Honor, instead of a house?
Why are you talking like a robot when people are talking about real issues?
Network featuring dynamic judges and live legal programming.
Well, we're not at your school. We're in my courtroom.
Unique court shows.
Where is any information about the company?
Live legal news.
That's what you should have done.
And a commitment to justice.
Either you tried or you did it.
The next generation of court programming in one dynamic network. Justice Central. You're watching Justice Central. Stay tuned. You're watching Justice Central. You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
Miss Childs, how can you be that insensitive to say that they need to try harder after you heard she suffered a miscarriage?
Why would they move into a one-bedroom apartment, Your Honor, instead of a house?
Why are you talking like a robot when people are talking about real issues?
This roll-out couch hurt my back.
Why are you all worried about a roll-out couch when your children have suffered a damaging traumatic loss? I want an answer to that question. Don't talk to me about the roll-out bed again. Why? Why aren't you not addressing that? Why have you not said anything?
I just...
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry that they're
No, don't apologize to me.
insensitive.
Mr. and Ms. Childs, I'm extremely sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
That is not easy. That is not something you just get over. And I feel really sorry for you that the parents who attempted, I think, to support you by giving you money don't understand that there are things in this life that far outweigh money. And that's life. And the loss of life in that way is extremely, extremely traumatic. So I want to offer you my deepest condolences.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry for your loss. Now, as for you, Mr. and Ms. Childs, I don't know what planet y'all live from. I don't know where y'all from. I don't really know what's going on here today, but you're not listening. You're talking, but you're not listening.
Coming up.
You so busy arguing about a pull-out couch and the fact that they were supposed to have babies, then come to find out they were trying. And then I said, I'm done talking to you. I'm done talking to you.
We're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
The fact that you have not really offered any compassion to your own children about the loss of their first child together. You so busy arguing about a pull-out couch and the fact that they were supposed to have babies, then come to find out they were trying.
We
And
have
then,
no
no,
idea.
I said, I'm done talking to you.
We have
I'm
no
done
idea,
talking
Your
to you.
Honor. If we
I'm
had
done.
an idea-
Miss Childs, order. Miss Childs, you got one more time to talk, and I'm going to have Sean escort you out. You have not offered one bit of time.
We had no
Sean,
idea.
escort her out. I'm tired of hearing your mouth.
Okay, Your Honor. I'm fine with that.
I'm glad you are, since I run this courtroom. Goodbye. Now I have another apology. I'm sorry that you do not have the parental support that you should really have at this time. It's really hard. So, Mr. Childs, at the end of the day, when you offered up the money to the kids, you offered it up. The court can look at the period of time when you did it, before the wedding. The memo that you put on the check was for their future. There was no specific deal, no specific bargain. It was to set you up for your future. You also wanted grandkids and a place where you also could come relax. Maybe at that time they couldn't afford a place that you could come relax in, but maybe they were building to that and wanted to first focus on those grandchildren that you wanted. But they tried, and unfortunately, at this point in time, we're not able to. You've got to accept the fact that when you gave that money, it was a gift, and those things are not revocable, and you can't come back later and put a condition on a gift. And at the end of the day, this is your family. This is your son. You just scowling all day. You just been mad for the last 20 minutes.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns. You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake.
Your father may need more time to understand what it means to be a father, what it means to support. That doesn't just happen overnight. I think the money may have been a guilt thing, feeling
Absolutely.
badly about the past.
Absolutely.
But it could have been a hope for the future, but he does not have the skills yet to carry out what his intentions were. We're going to keep hope alive, but until that time, you may need to set some boundaries, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Childs, this was a gift. What you about to do?
A gift.
This was
It
a
was
gift.
an agreement.
This was a gift.
Bargain.
You finally did one other face than a scowl. That's why I was like, what you about to do? Come with it. It has been determined by this court. Your case is dismissed. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the co-defendants. The co-plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry it had to end up like this.
Me too.
Really.
You need to learn to listen and have some compassion. How dare you?
Sorry.
Well, we'll see how sorry you are and how you act from now on.
You may now exit the courtroom.